The fluorescent lights of the all-night diner buzzed overhead like angry wasps, casting harsh shadows across Emma's tear-stained face. She sat alone in the corner booth, her hands trembling as they gripped a cold cup of coffee she hadn't touched in over an hour. Outside, the October rain hammered against the windows, each drop echoing the relentless thoughts that had driven her to this moment, this place, this edge. At 32, she had decided that tonight would be her last night. She had written the letters, cleared out her apartment, and said goodbye to a world that seemed to have given up on her long before she gave up on herself. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. And those plans arrived in the form of a disheveled single father and his 6-year-old daughter, who would walk through that diner door at exactly 11:47 p.m. and change everything. Emma had always been the kind of person who fell through the cracks. Not dramatically enough to draw attention, not successful enough to inspire admiration, just perpetually invisible, floating through life like a ghost nobody bothered to acknowledge. She'd lost her job 3 months ago when the marketing firm downsized, choosing to keep the younger, cheaper employees fresh out of college. Her boyfriend of 4 years had left 2 weeks later, admitting he'd been emotionally checked out for most of their relationship. Her mother, the only family she had left, had passed away the previous winter, leaving Emma with nothing but medical debt and an apartment full of memories she couldn't afford to keep. Tonight, she'd come to the diner because she couldn't bear to be alone in her nearly empty apartment, yet she also couldn't stand the thought of dying there. The diner seemed neutral, a nowhere place for someone who felt like nobody. She'd chosen the corner booth deliberately, wanting to be unseen one last time. The bell above the door chimed, and Emma barely looked up. A man entered, his jacket soaked through, carrying a small girl wrapped in a purple raincoat. The child was crying, her sobs cutting through the late-night silence of the nearly empty restaurant. "It's okay, sweetheart. We're going to warm up now," the man said, his voice gentle despite the exhaustion etched across his face. He looked to be in his late 30s, with dark circles under his eyes and the worn-down appearance of someone carrying the world on his shoulders. They slid into a booth 2 down from Emma's. She tried to ignore them, returning her gaze to the rain-streaked window, but the little girl's crying had subsided into hiccups, and Emma found herself accidentally eavesdropping. "Daddy, I'm sorry I had a bad dream," the girl whispered. "Never apologize for that, Lily. That's what I'm here for. Bad dreams, good dreams, and everything in between." He kissed the top of her head. "How about some hot chocolate?" As he stood to approach the counter, he glanced toward Emma's booth. Their eyes met for just a second, but something in his expression shifted. Maybe it was the tears still wet on her cheeks. Maybe it was the way she sat so utterly still, like someone who'd already disappeared. Whatever it was, he saw her, really saw her, in a way no one had in months. He ordered at the counter, then did something unexpected. He ordered a second hot chocolate and a slice of apple pie, and when the waitress brought everything out, he carried the extra items to Emma's table. "I'm sorry to intrude," he said softly, setting the cup and plate down. "But you look like you could use something warm. It's a rough night out there." Emma stared at the hot chocolate, steam rising from it like a ghost. "I didn't order this. I know. Consider it a gift from a stranger who's had his share of rough nights." He smiled, but it was sad around the edges. "No strings attached. But if you want company, my daughter and I will be right over there. If not, that's okay too." He returned to his booth before Emma could respond. She looked down at the hot chocolate, at this small act of unexpected kindness, and something cracked inside her chest. Her hand reached for the cup without conscious thought, and the warmth seeping into her palms felt like the first real thing she'd experienced in weeks. For 20 minutes, Emma sat there, slowly drinking the chocolate, occasionally glancing at the man and his daughter. The little girl was coloring on paper placemats, chattering about her drawings while her father listened with complete attention, as if she were describing the secrets of the universe rather than stick-figure cats. Then the little girl slid out of her booth and walked directly to Emma's table, her purple raincoat still damp. "Hi," she said, with the fearless friendliness only children possess. "I'm Lily. Are you sad?" "Lily," her father said quickly, standing up. "I'm so sorry." "It's okay," Emma heard herself say. The words surprised her. "Yes, I'm sad. My daddy says when you're sad, you should talk about it or draw pictures. Do you want to draw with me?" Emma's throat tightened. She couldn't remember the last time someone had offered her such simple, uncomplicated comfort. I'm not very good at drawing. That's okay. I'm not very good either, but Daddy says it's not about being good. It's about getting the sat out. Lily climbed into the booth across from Emma without waiting for permission, spreading her crayons across the table. The man approached, looking embarrassed. I really am sorry. She's usually not this forward. Well, actually, she's always this forward. I'm Marcus, by the way. Emma. She surprised herself again by not asking them to leave. Marcus slid into the booth next to his daughter, and for the next hour, something extraordinary happened. They talked. Lily drew pictures of cats and rainbows, narrating elaborate stories about each one. Marcus explained that they'd been at the emergency vet with their elderly cat, who had thankfully pulled through, but the experience had frightened Lily and triggered nightmares. The diner was their tradition after hard nights, a place to decompress before going home. What about you? Marcus asked eventually, his voice gentle. What brings you out on a night like this? Emma looked at him, at this stranger who had shown her kindness for no reason, and the truth spilled out before she could stop it. I was going to kill myself tonight. The words hung in the air. Lily had fallen asleep against her father's arm, her crayon still clutched in her hand. Marcus didn't flinch, didn't look away. He simply nodded slowly, his eyes filled with understanding rather than judgment. I'm glad you haven't, he said quietly. I'm glad you're still here. Why did you buy me hot chocolate? Emma asked, tears streaming down her face now. You don't know me. Why would you care? Marcus looked down at his sleeping daughter, then back at Emma. 3 years ago, my wife died in a car accident. Left me with Lily when she was just 3. I spent months in the exact place you are right now, standing on the edge, wondering if it would just be easier to let go. He paused, his own eyes glistening. Then one day, a complete stranger at a grocery store saw me breaking down in the cereal aisle and just stayed with me. Didn't try to fix me, didn't offer empty platitudes. Just stayed. Told me that the world needed me to stay too, even if I couldn't see why yet. Did it get better? Emma whispered. Eventually. Not all at once. Not in some magical transformation. But gradually, like dawn breaking so slowly you don't notice until suddenly you can see. He reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. Emma, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know your pain. But I know you matter. I know that your story isn't over, even if it feels like it is. And I know that sometimes all we need is one person to say, not while I'm here. You're not doing this while I'm here. Emma sobbed then, really sobbed, her body shaking with the release of months of held back grief and despair. And Marcus just sat there, this stranger who had become something more, bearing witness to her pain without trying to diminish it. When she finally caught her breath, she asked, what do I do now? How do I go back to my empty apartment and just keep living? You don't have to figure it all out tonight, Marcus said. Tonight, you just have to make it to tomorrow. And I'm going to help you do that. We're going to exchange numbers, and tomorrow, I'm going to text you to make sure you're okay. And the day after that. And the day after that, until you don't need me to anymore. You're not alone in this, Emma. Not while I'm here. Over the next months, Marcus kept his promise. His daily check-ins evolved into coffee meetings, then dinners where Lily would regale Emma with stories from first grade. Marcus helped Emma apply for jobs, and when she landed one, he and Lily showed up at her new office with a congratulatory bouquet. Emma began seeing a therapist, started rebuilding her life piece by piece, brick by brick. She didn't fall in love with Marcus, that wasn't what this story was about. What grew between them was something deeper than romance, a profound friendship forged in the crucible of crisis, proof that human connection could quite literally save a life. On the anniversary of that rainy October night, Emma returned to the diner with Marcus and Lily. They sat in the same booth, ordered hot chocolate, and Emma told them both something she'd been waiting a year to say, thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself. Thank you for staying. You didn't just save my life that night, you gave me a reason to build a new one. Marcus smiled, the sadness finally gone from its edges. That's what we do for each other, Emma. We show up. We stay. We remind each other that the world is better with us in it. Outside, the October rain fell once again, but this time, Emma wasn't running from it. She was sitting in the warmth, surrounded by the family she'd found in the most unexpected place, living the life she'd almost given up on. Grateful beyond measure that a single dad had walked through a door and said, simply, "Not while I'm here."